Hey y'all, what it do, our fam? So glad that you clicked on this video. Today we're gonna be doing something a little different, and that's totally fine, and it's gonna be baking. You can probably see that from the title, but we're baking bread. A reason why I wanted to do this bread is because I also actually made butter. I can do a video on that if y'all would like for me to, but I just want to become a lot more self-sufficient, not go to the grocery store as much, and actually potentially make my own flour in the future. But this is just a video that I wanted to share with y'all so that y'all can experiment, make y'all's own bread, and get that bread at the end of the day. But you gotta know what I mean when I say that. But let's get into the video. Okay, y'all, let's go ahead and jump right in. There's already 3/4 of a cup of water in that measuring cup. Then we're gonna go in with 1/2 of a cup of buttermilk. And we're just going to go ahead and microwave that for a few seconds. You don't want it to exceed 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Now we're gonna be back in here and we're measuring the temperature of that water. I have a thermometer in my hand, even though I'm not a mother yet. We're gonna put 9 grams of yeast in there, and that's about 0.6 of a cup of a tablespoon of yeast. Now we're just gonna stir that in real good so that it's emulsified, hydrated, all that good stuff. Big picture, you just want all those liquids to hydrate that yeast so that everything will bloom well in the future. Okay guys, we're just gonna jump right over into our dry ingredients, and that's gonna call for 1.5 cup of all-purpose flour, which I'm gonna pour first, and then 1.5 cup of bread flour. There are other recipes that use 100% bread flour. They say that it is more stretchy, more gluten, things of that nature, but I just like thicker bread, if that makes sense. If you wanna do all bread flour, you can use 3 cups of bread flour. If you only have all-purpose flour, you can use all-purpose flour. That will work as well. Now we're going through and adding dry ingredients that don't take as much quantity. So first I'm going in with 1.5 teaspoon of fine sea salt. I used kosher salt in this specific situation, but I usually do use sea salt. And then next I'm going to go in with 1 tablespoon of granulated sugar. I know y'all saw me waste that sugar, but we move. Now that about 10 minutes has passed, we can visually see that our yeast has bloomed, and now we're going to start mixing that in with our dry ingredients, but very slowly. I have seen individuals mix in their yeast mixture in a quick manner, i.e. adding it all in at one time, but in my experience, I tend to get large clumps of just flour, hard flour that end in my bread. Now do take note that I am not using the proper bread spiral thing. I'm not highfalutin like that. Let's be 100% real. I'm using my mom's items and I don't really feel like buying the spiral thing. Now that all of the yeast and milk water mixture has been added in, we're just going to continue through, add that little bit left, and you can see the consistency of the now dough mixed together and gather in all that liquid. After about 3 to 4 more minutes of mixing the dough on a medium to low setting, it will begin to look like this consistency. When it gets to this consistency, you will begin to add 1 tablespoon of butter for a total of 3 tablespoons. Now you will remove your dough It will be very soft, very smooth. Now that that 1 to 2 hours has passed, you're going to take your dough out, and your goal is to roll the dough out to the width of the bread pan that you will be using. So later you'll actually see me place my bread pan directly in front of my dough so I can have that measurement in front of it so that I know, okay, this is how far I can get my dough out. And then once it is rolled to the desired width, you are going to roll that dough tightly like a cinnamon roll and place it into the greased bread pan. Now please note that I said tightly. The first time that I made bread, I didn't do a great job of rolling it tightly, so the center of my bread came out hollow because parts of the rolled part in the center detached from each other. So it was just a hollow section in the top corner of my bread, and I don't want that to happen to you. So once your bread dough is neatly rolled, make sure that the seam of the bread dough is placed on the bottom, especially if you want a smooth top. So now that you have tightly rolled your dough after 45 minutes to an hour, it will rise, and you need to set your oven to about 350 degrees Fahrenheit. After about 30 to 45 minutes in the oven, this will be the result of your bread. Please be sure not to allow your bread to sit in the bread pan. If you do, it will begin to sweat, and then you'll get soggy bread. And nobody likes soggy bread. So go ahead and take your bread out and let it sit on a cooling rack. Now what we've all been waiting for. Yes, I did not wait. You're supposed to wait until it is all the way cool, but I did not want to wait, so I had to cut the bread in a very awkward way so that I could get through it. But y'all, look at this. Now you don't have to butter your bread, but I make homemade bread and my family absolutely loves my bread that I make from scratch. So I put a decent amount of that on there, and then I continue to let it cool. Thank y'all all so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Bye, our fam.